Frontier by Maggot Moshpit, Chapter 4.
Keep it steady.
The next 2 weeks were uneventful, aside from a short statement Leph had to make to the authorities about the pirates, making sure not to mention Feldo. Feldo assured them no one had seen his face aside from the pirates. Leph spent the remainder of that time tutoring Lena on the Frontier's operation. She was a quick learner and soon had a grasp on how to pilot it.
Watch that asteroid. Use the thrusters like I showed you.
Running low on fuel, Leph decided to make a stop at the Solar Federation-controlled supply station in the rings of a massive gas giant.
There's the station. Signal them and request landing clearance.
Leph leaned over Lena as she gripped the wheel tightly, making sure she made no life-threatening mistakes. Lena took a deep breath. She sent a transmission to the station.
Ahem. Supply station. SFSS-867. This is Atrian Cargo Vessel Frontier requesting docking clearance.
Lena waited for a response as Leph chuckled.
It's the Frontier, not Frontier, but I suppose that's a nitpick. When hailing a human station or ship, it might take them a few seconds to translate your message to English and their message to Atrian. If we had a translator on the ship, things would be a lot easier.
A crackle came over the comm.
Atrian vessel, you are clear to dock at port 12B.
Alright now, docking isn't tricky, just match the station's velocity and get close enough for the docking ring to attach to us.
Lena decreased speed and oriented the Frontier properly. An arm from the station reached out and pulled them in. Leph patted Lena on the back.
Good job. Looks like you got the hang of it now.
Lena unclasped the steering wheel and wiped her sweaty paws on her pant leg.
I still can't shake the nerves I get when I'm flying. It's like every muscle in my body tenses up.
Don't worry, you'll get used to it.
Cirlia was also in the cockpit, reviewing the food inventory. She finished compiling a list of supplies on a scrap of paper and handed it to Leph.
Here's what food we need. Looks like Zach burned through most of the human food faster than he said he would. Don't forget to pick up some of that. Also, we're running low on Laxar feed. You're going to have to speak to Rackham about what human stuff is okay to feed them.
Leph took the paper and stuffed it into his pocket.
Alright, I'll talk to him about it.
Leph strolled down the corridor with Lena towards the colonists' living space. The converted cargo space was filled with activity, colonists talking excitedly to one another as they packed day bags. Dee, Rackham's wife, was standing nearby, observing the activity. Leph walked up behind her as Lena was dragged off by a group of her friends.
Dee, what's going on here?
Dee jumped.
Leph, my lord, don't sneak up on me like that. What's going on? Well, I figured all these folks have been cooped up in the same rooms for too long, so I'm organizing shore leave parties.
Shore leave? That's a good idea, but you have to talk to me first. Some stations don't allow that. Luckily, this one does.
Sorry, but I kind of promised someone, and then word spread and now everyone has it in their head.
Leph shrugged.
It's okay, just don't make the groups too big.
He looked around.
Where's Rackham?
Dee pointed out the door.
He's with the Lazar.
Thanks. Also, that's not how you pronounce that.
Dee waved her paw dismissively. Leph shook his head and headed out the door. Dee watched the colonists for a few moments more before going off to grab a camera and some snacks for her shore leave. Lena sat down at a table with her 2 friends. One of them, Taliko, leaned on the table.
So, what did you learn today?
Taliko was a fox, but she had an unusual brown fur color, and was quite tall. The other, Yar, also leaned in.
Yes, tell us.
He was the only non-canine Atrian on the ship, excluding Leph and Feldo. He was an otter, sleek of fur and dark of color. Lena placed her head on her paws.
We just practiced mostly. Flying in the rings, dodging asteroids and the like.
Yar and Taliko looked at each other and smiled mischievously. Yar spoke first.
Are you sure there was nothing else?
Nothing else, like maybe you had trouble navigating the rings and Leph had to guide your paw with his...
Or maybe you saw a particularly beautiful patch of stars and Leph turned to you and whispered, "They don't compare to your eyes."
Or perhaps...
Lena slapped them playfully.
Cut that out!
She said, blushing furiously. Yar grinned and scooted out of range.
Oh, come on. It's been written all over your face for the past 2 weeks.
Taliko feigned a swoon.
It's true love our little Lena growing up so fast.
Lena rested her head on the table.
It's just a silly crush. He's just so strong-willed.
How old is he anyway? He's certainly older than you.
I think he's 24. I'm not sure.
Taliko's eyes widened.
He's 5 years older than you. This just got weird.
Actually, he told me that after he got out of flight school, he did a lot of in-system work, so he might be even older.
Jailbait!
They both received slaps.
Don't say anything to anyone, or I'll restrict your media access.
Wait, you can do that? We'll keep your secret. That's what friends are for. Well, that, and for borrowing money from... oh, here he comes now.
Leph strolled up, oblivious.
Hey, Taliko, Yar, Lena.
Taliko jumped up.
Hi, Leph! Lena has some...
Lena clamped Taliko's muscles shut.
What is it, Leph?
Leph looked around confusedly.
I just came to ask if you guys want to have some shore leave. You can come with me. I have some shopping to do.
Yar and Taliko once again exchanged glances. Yar turned to Leph.
Nah, you guys go ahead. We'll catch up to you.
Taliko nodded. Leph shrugged and went for the door.
Suit yourself.
Lena followed behind, but not before flashing a thumbs up at the pair. They met Zack and Celia at the airlock.
Hey, guys. Zack, how are you doing with Feldo?
Leph handed the list back to Celia as he spoke. Zack smiled to himself as he cycled the airlock.
Well, he knows a surprising amount. Should take a load off me. He's taken apart some of the spare parts now, and I didn't even ask him. He told me he was mostly just a repairman on his old ship, even though he claims to be skilled.
Leph looked skeptical.
You sure he won't blow anything up?
Don't worry, he hasn't got anything dangerous.
It was lined with stalls and doorways to shops with fluorescent signs outside advertising their contents in 5 different languages. Zack spread his arms wide.
Look, human stuff. And this is only level 12. Oh, and you might want to buy some of those.
Zack pointed to a vending machine. The machine advertised Faber's disposable translators that never fail. 5-hour battery life translates English, Atrian, Yerish. The list went on. Leph dug out his wallet. He fed a bill into the credit slot and bought 3. It spat out a pitiful shred of the former bill.
It's so damn expensive. I guess that's a good thing.
He opened the package of 2 and put the small green bullet-shaped devices in his ears.
It fits weirdly.
Celia struggled to put hers in her ears.
It was made to fit universally. Literally.
Lena had no trouble fitting hers. The tiny device filtered all sound, picked out languages, and fed them into the ear at the same volume that they were heard at, so the wearer didn't even notice they were hearing different languages, aside from the mouth movements. Lena swiveled her head from side to side, her sensitive ears picking up bits of conversation.
Wow! I can understand everything. These things really work.
Celia spotted a space-packaged food vendor.
Let's start here.
The man at the counter was Yeren. Tall, gray-skinned, and hairless aliens with large eyes. They claim to have visited Earth a long time ago, but no evidence exists to back up this claim. He greeted Celia with a strange hand gesture that was half wave, half salute.
Greetings, customer. May the light ever drive back the darkness. What can I do for you?
Celia wave saluted back.
You too. I would like to resupply our ship. Here's what we need.
As Celia conversed with the salesman, Lena was looking distractedly at a restaurant on the other side of the room. Leph took notice.
Wanna go?
What? Oh, not really. Just looked interesting.
Let's go. I'm hungry anyway. It's a human restaurant, right?
Yes?
Leph tapped Zack on the shoulder.
Hey, let's go there.
He pointed and Zack looked over.
Oh man, is that Italian food? It's been ages. Come on, let's go.
Zack ran across the room, an ecstatic grin on his face that reminded Leph of a newborn child. Celia and the Yeren were haggling furiously, so Leph and Lena left them to their business. The inside of the restaurant was filled with smells that were strange to the Atrians present, but not at all unpleasant. Zack joined the line at the counter.
You guys find a seat. I'll buy the finest dishes for you to sample.
He licked his lips. Leph and Lena found a corner seat and sat, Leph looking around the establishment. There weren't any Atrians besides themselves. In fact, there weren't many on the station at all, as far as he could tell. There were only a few.
Not many of our kind here. Hey, what's wrong, Peach?
Lena looked upset. Her ears were back and she was clasping her paws together tightly.
They're talking about us.
Who?
Lena half turned. Leph spotted them without much trouble. 3 Solar Federation officers sat a couple tables away in full uniform. They glanced over occasionally and talked in low tones. Leph put his paw on Lena's.
Hey, just ignore what they say. They've probably never met an atrium before.
They called us furries.
Leph didn't hesitate. He stood, chair scraping loudly. The 3 officers all turned to look at him as he pointed at them.
How about you come over here and say that to my face?
The officer with the highest rank, indicated by the number of stripes running in a diagonal line across his uniform, approached Leph.
Furry.
People began to take notice. Heads turned. Leph stepped close to the man's face.
You just made a big mistake, Ape. You insulted me and my officer. I would choose my next words very carefully.
The man grabbed Leph by the coat.
You're the one that made the mistake, Furry. This is a human restaurant. We don't tolerate lesser life.
The man let go of Leph, pushing him into the table, and returned to his seat. Leph was fuming as Lena tugged on his coat.
Let's just leave.
I can't. Racist assholes like this deserve hell.
Leph walked up to the table and grabbed the officer, spun him around, and aimed a punch at his face. The officer was quicker, catching his punch and throwing his own, which connected hard against Leph's jaw. He fell back onto the floor. The officer kneeled down.
Leave.
Leph was about to throw himself on the man when Zack grabbed him and dragged him away.
We apologize, officer. It won't happen again.
Leph struggled.
Like hell it won't!
They can arrest you and impound the frontier. Let's just go.
Fine.
He stormed out of the room, Lena and Zack following behind. Leph paced his room, venting to Sir Leah.
I mean, we didn't ask for it. We were just sitting there. Then he goes and uses a racial slur, and a really bad one.
Which one?
The F word.
That's pretty bad.
Leph kicked a pillow across the room.
With all the horrible things they did to us in the war, they could at least treat us with some respect.
How do you think they see you? Those guys were out of line, but Atrians did some pretty terrible things too. For every human horror of war, there's at least one of ours.
Then forget the war. We aren't soldiers. They were. What happened to serve and protect?
Calm down, Leph. Yelling won't fix anything.
Whatever. Let's get out of here. Do we have everything?
Yes.
You've got the helm. I need to meditate.
Sir Leah went for the door, but Leph stopped her.
Wait, one more thing. How's Lena doing? Someone so young shouldn't have to hear a word with such negative connotations directed towards them.
Sir Leah leaned on the doorframe.
She's shook up, but she'll get over it. She's got tough skin, that one.
Yeah.
Sir Leah exited the room, and Leph sat against the wall, head resting on his knees. Sir Leah slumped into her chair. She turned to Zack.
Bring the engines online. I have an unfortunate announcement to make.
She pressed the intercom button.
This is your second in command here. I'm afraid due to some unforeseen circumstances, we will be canceling shore leave. I'm sure you all know why by now. We will be departing soon. Thank you.
Zack looked at her apologetically.
About leaving. The docking clamps just locked down. I can't disengage them.
Sir Leah clasped the bridge of her nose.
This can't be good.
She hailed the station.
Please explain why we are being held.
The comm crackled.
Your ship has been detained. You've been selected for a random search. Prepare to be boarded.
Sir Leah rolled her eyes.
Son of a bitch.
She hit the intercom again.
Hello again. It seems we've been selected for a random search. Don't worry, it should only take a minute. Leph, you better get to the airlock to greet our guests.
Sir Leah got up to meet Leph at the airlock.
Zack, you've got the cockpit.
Leph was waiting at the airlock, tapping his paw impatiently. Sir Leah stood next to him.
Something tells me this isn't random.
You think?
The airlock opened and none other than the officer from the restaurant stepped through. Now that he wasn't fighting the man, Leph got a good look at his face. He was thin and lean, and his face looked as though it was carved from stone. He had gray hair, though Leph couldn't estimate his age. Leph stopped him before he could step any further.
Don't take another step until you tell us what's going on. It's our right.
The man regarded Leph with a cold stare.
I suppose you haven't heard. The Solar Federation ambassador that was recently sent on a peace mission to Atria has been assassinated.
Sir Leah gasped. The officer continued.
Pending an investigation, All Atrian vessels parked at Solar Federation resupply stations and other similar services are to be searched for other possible terrorist activities.
Leph couldn't believe his ears.
We aren't terrorists, we're a transport!
We know exactly who you are, Mr. Quill. You are not the reason we're here.
The man turned to Sir Leah.
Follow me, please.
Sir Leah stepped back a pace.
What for?
Questioning.
He made a hand gesture and security officers stepped through the airlock. 2 flanked Sir Leah and the rest headed for other parts of the ship.
Hey, you don't have any evidence she's a terrorist!
He made no comment, and he and the security officers took Sir Leah out the airlock.
Don't worry about me.
Leph was left at the airlock, the doors guarded by 2 more security personnel. Sir Leah was taken to a small steel room with nothing but a table and chairs in it. Soon the officer returned and sat across from her.
Hello, Miss Wesker. Let's have a chat, shall we?
Sir Leah glared at him.
My name is Cyrus. Commander Cyrus. Let's start from the beginning.
Cyrus leaned in.
Your parents worked for the Atrian government delivering supplies to Atrian warships in the Cyrus system, correct?
Sir Leah said nothing.
It is. That was rhetorical correct. It's quite a well-documented case, but let's refresh your memory.
Cyrus held up a folder and threw it on the table. Photographs spilled out, each one depicting twisted pieces of metal and other scrap. There was one picture with bodies, barely recognizable as Atrian.
Your parents hit a Solar Federation mine. There were no survivors.
Sir Leah did not look at the pictures, but kept staring at Cyrus.
Your parents were killed by humans. If I were you, I would harbor some resentment.
My parents aren't dead.
Your adoptive parents are still alive, yes? Let's fast forward. While studying abroad for a semester, a man crashed a shuttle into your apartment. One of the only humans on that moon. And he chose your house to crash into.
He's our engineer. We're friends now.
Cyrus shrugged.
According to you.
Unless you have evidence that isn't purely circumstantial, I'd like to go.
Sir Leah said, leaning back in her seat. Cyrus brushed aside the photos until he found what he was looking for. It was a full elemental scan of the cargo holds on the frontier. He placed it in front of Sir Leah and pointed to a large spike on the chart.
This is a very high amount of ammonium nitrate to be carrying, isn't it? That's a very explosive compound, you know.
Sir Leah looked at the chart.
That's because it's fertilizer.
Why did you choose to dock at a Solar Federation station?
It wasn't my call. We docked here because Leph is naive and he thought the rings would make good practice for our junior officer.
You may be innocent. You may not. But I was warned not to take any chances. And too many things correlate.
Cyrus leaned in again.
And knowing you Atrians, I'm willing to bet our investigation will turn up a thing or two you don't want turned up.